we go. We got the okay. Questions?
Coach, is the offense now, after what they did last week, can we say that, do you feel like they're at that peak efficiency now where
No.
you're hoping they're going to get?
No, we're not at peak efficiency. We always have room for improvement. You know, we've got a lot of young guys out there. There's some things we can do better. You know, we go through, and I think part of this time of year is trying to constantly improve, and our guys understand that. There's some you know, subtle things that we can do better, but you know, we're still working on technique. We got some young guys out there in some places. You know, it's new offense, new to everybody, but we're making strides right now.
Easy made a comment of Coach Kingsbury comes out and he sets the goal up there where he's like, hey, we need to score 70, 80 points. How big has that been for your entire staff to come out there and push these guys to, we're not okay with just getting to 1 point, we want to get above and beyond?
Well, we've been that way. You know, we've been together. The offensive staff's been together for a while, so you know, that's kind of how we've done things all the time. I think it might be a little bit different than these guys had expected, but you know, it's you have an expectation level, and you want to, you know, the idea of offensive football is to score, and so you know that's you start with that premise, and you want to try to score. You know, every play book that I've ever seen, there's not plays drawn up that are designed to be unsuccessful. Every play is drawn up to be successful. It's got an arrow that goes off the page or to the next box. So, you know, what we try to do is talk to our guys about doing their job individually, and collectively we'll be successful.
Kevin, you guys played Mississippi State when you in Houston a couple of times, didn't you?
Yes.
Did that help you? Does that help you get a kind of feel for their style of play?
I don't know. You know, they've had different coordinators there. You know, Les has been on offense. They're really a different offense right now. I think that you know that Tyler Russell has really made a difference offensively for him, just as a quarterback. You know, their ability to throw the football now with Bumpus and those guys out there on the perimeter. I think Tyler Russell's really playing really well. I mean, he's limited interceptions, thrown, I don't know what, 15 touchdowns or so, and gives them the ability to get the ball down the field, which a couple, 3 years ago, I don't know that was the case. And then, you know, defensively, you know, when we were there, Chris Wilson had just gotten there as a co and Manny was there. So, you know, now Chris is running, he's doing a great job. I think they're 15th in the country in defense. They're extremely talented, particularly in the back end. Veteran, 3 seniors back there, 3 seniors and a junior. Corners are big and fast, which allows them to do a lot of different things from a pressure standpoint up front when you've got guys that can cover. So, you know, this is a very talented team, and you know, a program that has, you can see the steps they've made since Dan's been there, and you know, they have improved their talent level, and guys, there's just like any other program, they have bought into what he's preaching, and they're playing very, very well. So, you know, I don't know how much our playing them a couple, 3 years ago plays into this game, except the fact that half of us have been to the hotel we're staying at right now. So we understand where we're going. This is really the first week in a while that we actually know where we're going, where we're staying, and know exactly how long it's going to take to get to the stadium. Everywhere else we've been this year has been new to everybody.
Since your defensive staff hasn't been together, how impressed have you been with what they've done in this short amount of time?
I think that I've said many times. I think that they're doing a really, really good job of working with the pieces that we have. We've got, because of our lack of depth, being able to create some different problems for offenses, particularly up front, our front seven, moving around a little bit, and we've had a whole lot of moving parts in the back end too, either from injury, suspension, whatever, moving those guys around and not panicking about it and being pretty salty with it. So, these guys they've blended together. I think, it was real important in the hiring process, when we hired Mark, we didn't hire one of those coaches, one of the defensive coaches without Mark talking with them beforehand. And so there's nobody forced on him as a coordinator. I had guys that obviously I wanted him to look at, and we brought him in, we talked to him on the phone, and I think, when you hire people that way, they understand their role coming into the process. I think he understood, in talking with him what he wanted to, and so there was never any situation where we just threw people together. Everybody understood their role coming in, and I think that made it a little bit easier, a lot easier actually, to really blend together and get rolling last spring.
Back in the SEC media days,
Sorry about that.
back in the SEC media days, there was kind of some skepticism in the room about your offense coming into the SEC, and you guys lead in most of the categories. Is there satisfaction with you that you thought it could work?
If we didn't think it could work, we wouldn't run it.
Okay, but I mean, do you feel?
No, that has nothing to do with it. People had the right. We're new guys, and we're new guys in the league. So that's. I don't see that as derogatory or anything like that. You're always going to be skeptical of anything that is new or you don't know about. So I don't see it that way. I do see it as we do have something to prove. I said that from the beginning. At the SEC media days. We're in the best league in the country, playing football, and as new guys to the league, we do have something to prove. And I think our guys understand that. I think our as coaches, we understand it, but I think right now our players understand it too. And I think that's why there's such an excitement level from our fans, but there's also an excitement level from our players, just because, that's where we are. So, every one of these games is new to these guys. I think last week was a prime example of being excited to play. And in a way, the newness of this, in a way, is helping us because we're going to different places where we've never been, and guys are excited to go there.
Easy had an interesting point of Mississippi State kind of being in the same boat, I guess, that they're surprising a lot of people. So Easy said in this game, both teams kind of understand what each other are going for. Do you kind of see that as guys pushing a little extra, knowing that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not surprised by Mississippi State's success. I mean, you could see that coming. They've been building that for the last couple of years. So, I think everybody is, for us, this is we're playing another SEC opponent, and I don't know that I don't really understand what you're asking. So.
Well, you just said there was a mutual understanding that both teams, that basically is not going to overlook it because And they won't overlook you guys either, I guess.
Have you crossed paths with Coach Koenig much?
Yes, yep, and his dad, when his dad was a high school coach in Houston. So, yeah, I know Les very well. As a matter of fact, he bought my house last time I was here. Didn't know that, did you? I guess the moral of that story is don't buy that house. Because I don't think either one of us left here on our own will, if you recall that.
How important
What's that?
How important was it to get a half off?
I don't know. It's a reward. I think this time of year it can be difficult. Nobody's healthy. Nobody's 100% healthy. Everybody who's playing, particularly in this league, and we had some guys after that LSU game, which, that was a really taxing game for us, physically and emotionally. How we lost the game, and there's a lot put into that. And we had some guys last week who I wasn't sure were going to be able to play in the game up until Thursday or Friday or even right before the game, that missed practice, and I think it showed a little bit. So from that standpoint, for us to get our starters, particularly, we played one series in the third quarter with both starting units, and they had the defense had a 3-and-out, and then we scored, and then we put the second team offensive line in, the second team defensive line in, and the second team secondary, kind of mixed those guys in there. We'd put some more linebackers in there if we had them. So, we just from that standpoint, it was good to get those guys off the field, but it's also good to get the young guys in there and play a substantial amount of plays, and really play as many plays as the starters did in a SEC football game on the road, and stretch them out a little bit. And so, there are a lot of pluses to a game like that in the middle of the season. At the beginning of the year, yeah, because you're getting young guys ready to play. The pluses in the middle of the year or towards this time is the ability to get to not risk injury and get some experience for your young guys.
Coach, how big was it to get Trey going, see Mike going, and to have 3 fresh backs now heading down the stretch?
Yeah, we're good. That's a great question, because that's better than the questions I got earlier in the year is, why isn't so-and-so playing? We're playing them all. So, we're going to need them all. And I've said that from the beginning. We'll play them all. Trey, we didn't play Trey in the LSU game because, the second half, well, basically from second quarter on, there were a number of different looks from when they're in the odd front, from a run game scheme, blocking schematically, where the running lanes were, and from a protection standpoint, he wasn't comfortable and we weren't comfortable with him being able to deal with that. And so, we got 2 other guys who are veteran guys who understood it and did a nice job. And I think after that game, he kind of understood it, because we talked with him on the sideline. We talked about it during the game. As a young guy, there's more to playing running back than just handing him the ball. I know that some people don't believe that, but that's the truth. You've got different looks and different defenses, and there's different reads. If you're running the ball, certainly different deals that you have to handle with protection. So, that being said, last weekend was great for him to be out there and just say, hey, listen, you're playing, and whatever shows up out there defensively, you're going to have to handle. So his eyes got a little bit bigger You know, when you know that that's the situation, you're not coming out and we're going to call certain plays and you're not going to run them. You know, you only need to know this week. Well, we could call anything, and you got to handle it. So that's great for a freshman to have to do that. And it's not just him, but a number of guys, you know, whether it was defensively or offensively, that were put in that position last week.
You guys ran the ball so well last week and seem to have been doing so as of late. Where are you seeing the biggest progression in your guys' improvement in the run game?
I don't know. I think it's just understanding, you know, and our line working together. And like I said early in the year, we saw there wasn't probably the first 5 or 6 games there. Whatever we watched on video during the week, coming into the game, we didn't see, you know, so early in the game. So we made adjustments on the run, and you know, that's part of it. So now you get into the part of the year where you've seen a whole lot of different looks now, and you've been able to practice them or look at them, and that's not just the offensive line. That's running backs, that's receivers, that's a quarterback. And so, you know, it's just like anything else. You start to get better with what you're comfortable with.
I guess you never realize exactly what you're going to get when you inherit players, maybe particularly upperclassmen. So how pleasant a surprise or how pleasant a guy has Ryan Swope been, especially with this toughness that he's brought to you? And obviously you know what he had done before, but, you know, as a senior leader for you.
Well, you know, we talked when I got here. I said that I had a couple guys I had to recruit before I went on the road recruiting. And you know, Sean and Ryan were 2 guys that I sat down and talked to immediately, and particularly Ryan and his parents, and just about everything that was going on. We watched video about the offense, talked to him about everything he's been through and what we thought was good for him, and you know, the ability to enjoy college football, and so, you know, that from the beginning was very, very important. And you know, he and Sean are guys that right from the beginning we talked about, hey, listen, here's where you are. You know, after we did an NFL draft analysis, can we help you? Here's how you can help. Here's your size. Here's your strengths. Here's your weaknesses. And let's work on your weaknesses. Let's work on this. And here's where you're going to fit into our system. And you know, Sean was, you know, just like Ryan. I think you can see, you know, where he fits with what we're doing. He's playing. He's exactly what we were talking about earlier this year about playing without the football. He's extremely tough. Has been blocking like crazy, and has made great. You know, has just gotten better and better in the system every week. And Sean, we talked with him beforehand, you know, about where he is size wise, and you know, in a 3-4. To be 215, 20 pounds is okay in college, but in the NFL, those guys are closer to between 245 to 260. So, you know, moving to a 4-3 could actually help him because he's more of a prototype will linebacker. So, you know, that was all part of recruiting, and they trusted that and saw something good in it, and I think right now you see that you know, they're both having some success.
Coach, I know it's one thing to explain to guys that you need to find an open space so that Johnny can throw you the football, but they seem like they're actually being able to do that now versus what they were doing at the beginning of the season.
Yes and no. You didn't know if they were open or not because we didn't throw it. So, you know, there's 2 parts to that. You know, we you know, our quarterback's gotten more comfortable with what we're doing, and they've gotten used to him. You know, and Johnny's done a better job of going through his progressions. The receivers have done a better job if he's on the move to avail themselves at that time instead of just standing and watching him like the rest of the crowd is doing. So that all works hand in hand. I think the ability of us to throw the football is like you said. Everybody puts it on the receivers, but there were some times early in the season where Johnny just took off, and one read or a little bit of pressure, and that was it. I think both groups have gotten better, and understanding the passing game and trusting each other, and that's why you see more and more people are being incorporated into into the success. It was never a game plan situation. It's like you brought up. Ryan's having some success the last 4 or 5 weeks. He was open the first 2 or 3 weeks. So we just couldn't find him, and you that's all part of a progression, and I think a growth of an offense, and that's a combination of both the quarterback and the receivers being on the same page.
Coach, obviously you're able to put the LSU loss behind. Is it tougher sometimes to put a game like that when you're complete domination, putting it behind, move ahead?
No. I think it's. I think it's always been harder. If in a close loss, I think that's a lot harder. Or a close win. I put it that way. There's a lot more energy and emotion spent in those types of games, and than maybe the game last week. The emotion, for the guys who are playing substantial amounts of plays, they were done an hour and a half before the game was over. So they were just cheerleaders by that point. So moving on for those guys, I've always felt it's a little bit easier. Now, whether the key to this thing is how you approach the week, which we did a great job of last week in preparation, and then emotionally, where we're going to be next Saturday. So that's all part of the preparation from our coaches and from our players this week. So I don't think so.
How pleased have you been of late with the play of Cedric and the rest of the interior offensive line?
I think our whole line's been getting better every week. In particular, Pat's done a really nice job. I was watching the TV copy the other day, and just how quickly he's getting to the ball and getting over it and getting snaps. I guess I forgot because I've stopped yelling at him to do that. So I guess that's a positive. So he's done that. We've our interior has been good. The tackles get all the notoriety. They've done an excellent job. Cedric is a very, very talented young man. So is Jarvis, but it wouldn't work at all without Pat inside, and he's forces the tempo. He sets the blocking schemes and the protections, and so those guys have done a nice job. But nothing starts without Pat getting us going.
Time for a couple more. How about the play, that second unit, when they got into the game and were still able to keep the energy up, and how you thought those guys did?
That goes unnoticed, and that's important. At halftime we talked about. I think that gets to playing to a standard, and as you start to develop a program, whoever goes out on that field is representing a football team and representing Texas A&M, and so you have a duty to know what you're doing and a duty to perform the best you can. You don't know when your time's coming. It could be as a whole group going out there. We could have an injury, and you're out there with the starters. It's no different whether you're playing with the guys who started the game or you're playing with the backup guys. We're trying to increase the standard of how we're playing. And I think our second team, particularly offense, went in there and did a nice job. Our offensive line did a pretty good job. You know, we fell off a little bit in the secondary because we're running out of guys. You know, so and like I said, we'd have put the linebackers in there if we had more of them. But we don't have a complete second set, I don't think, unless we've got Justin Bass and a couple other guys, and those guys were getting worn out running up and down the field on kickoff cover. So it's, you know, I think that our guys understand that, and it's a great reward for those guys because of how they're practicing. They don't get to do much, but get a couple plays during the week, and then for them to be able to play that amount of time, particularly against an SEC opponent, was a big deal.
Coach, Halloween is tomorrow night. Are you flattered that there'll be some guys dressed up as Kevin Sumlin?
You know, I've seen that picture. Actually, it was emailed to me by the guys who dressed up. Are you talking about the picture of the guys who dressed up as me and Cliff?
Right. They look pretty
It's
good.
kind of yeah. They look great. Does that mean you finally made it when you become a costume? Is that the deal? I don't know.
It might be a measuring stick if you have arrived.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't, any other questions?
Relationship with Coach Wilson. Do you enjoy coaching against someone you know so well?
No, I don't.
Just
It's,
rather not?
you know, it's kind of like Hugh Freeze said, that, you know, that's part of it. You get to know people in this business. You know, I think we live probably 3 or 4 blocks from each other in Oklahoma. So, you know, that's how it is. You know, I'm going to see how big his son's gotten, see if I need to start recruiting Caleb, because he's always been a big athletic guy. So, you know, we'll see. You know, we're friends and have been friends, and you know, he's doing a heck of a job. And, you know, you can see where they are statistically and on defense, and no, you really don't enjoy that part of it, but, you know, you're in this business long enough, and guys, particularly as assistant coaches and on the staff that staffs I've been on, you know, guys are moving from assistants to coordinators to head coaches, and, you know, I think that's also a testament to Bob Stoops and the you know, the guys that he had there in that program.
Anything else? All right, Coach. Thanks.
Thank you.